I always look forward to coming to Ilocos Norte, not only because it is really our home, but also in this special occasion when we commemorate the Marcos Day, which is the day of my father's birthday. And as we have seen, it is his 107th birthday. So it is inevitable when we celebrate his life and we look back and we I try to find and try to think, what was it about my father? Ano ba talaga? What was his very important quality that brought him to the greatest heights of political office in the Philippines, but even more importantly, to have allowed him to, that made him, that guided him, so that he could serve the people properly. And I am always reminded of what was engraved in the mausoleum when my father was still buried here. And those of you that have been to the mausoleum will remember that it was one single word, Filipino. And that is the essence of my father. And when I look back, and now that I am in this high office, and many forces are impacting upon you, and a decision has to be made. And the guidance that I get, once again, is I always ask myself, what would my father do? What would be his advice? And I remember the mausoleum, and I remember that it says Filipino. And that is the essence of the man. He was a Filipino. He was an Ilocano first, but his whole life was dedicated to the Filipino. His whole life was dedicated to the Philippines. During his first foray into public service after his university and his law school was as a soldier during the war, where he was willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to defend his country and his people. And we have seen and heard and read about the heroic deeds that are only now being realized by many of us. I will recount to you an experience that I had recently when I was in the United States. And I was hosted by the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. At ang request ko sa kanila, can I see some of the records about my father where he was working with the OSS. The OSS was a predecessor of the CIA. And they allowed me. They took me to the records room and they started to show me many of the records, the reports that were given during the war, that are still secret. And I mean, he was greater than even we realized. The things that he did, the sacrifices that he made for the Philippines. And I asked the CIA, maaari ba, pakopya ko, iuwi ko. Sorry, it is still classified. And that was the depth of his service to the country. After the war, after liberation, he then entered into politics. He became the 2nd District Representative of Ilocos Norte, and he served for about 10 years before becoming senator and ultimately president. And through that whole time, all that he did was to serve Filipinos. He sacrificed everything. Those of us who are with his family know of that sacrifice. And we, in our own way, were feeling that we also sacrificed because we did not see my father. We did not see my mother. They were very busy doing their work and serving the Philippines and serving Filipinos. And so when I look back now at the life that I have led, and I see what is the guiding principle that I can learn from my father, when things are confusing, when things have become so complex, what is the essence of service that my father taught me? And that is very simple, but not easy to achieve. But it is simple. Be a Filipino, serve the Filipino, protect Filipinos and the Philippines. And from that comes all of the important things that we can do. That guides us, that is the guiding principle. So, although he was always described, especially in his younger days, as the GI, the great Ilocano, he superseded that. And of course, he loved Ilocos, he loved Batak, he loved Sarat, he loved all of you who were with him through all of the trials and tribulations that he went through. But then I suppose he saw the essence as well of Ilocanos. We are essentially, because we are Ilocanos, but we are here in the Philippines. And the greatest service that he could do was to serve the entire country of the Philippines. So if we are to continue on this important legacy that he has left us, what again will be our guide? How again do we know what is the right path to make it better for the Philippines, to make life better for all Filipinos, to make sure that the Philippines is protected, that the Philippines is secure, that the Philippines is going to flourish, that the Philippines takes its place in the community of nations in the world? And I have followed that credo from the very beginning of my term, and I will continue to follow that credo. Be a good Filipino. Be a Filipino that loves your countrymen. Be a Filipino that loves your country, and do everything and sacrifice everything to achieve that purpose, to achieve that goal, that you become a good Filipino and you leave the Philippines a better place than you found it. That is my continuing guide. That is the credo that we should live by. And for that, I will be eternally grateful to my dad for the lessons that he taught us, for the values that imbued in our very souls. And that has served us all well. And so as we go through our daily lives, let us always remember that in the end, we do what we do. All that we do for Filipinos. All that we do for the Philippines. Let us be together in that. Let us continue that legacy of love of country. Let's continue that legacy of love of your kababayans. And I think that if we do that, that we will always be led in the right direction. Happy birthday, Dad. Naimbag kay panang kasangay. And thank you for all that you have given us.